Hello, I have today a video that I think many Americans really need to watch. And they really need to understand that the world is continuing without them. This video is available at Euronews. I will put the links in the description. Okay? And I highly advise you to subscribe to that channel because it's an excellent source of news because news in Europe follow a different path than that in some other parts of the world. And it's actually a crime to propagate misinformation or fake news. You can have an opinion, of course. That is absolutely normal, and even we even encourage it. But spreading lies and misinformation is a punishable crime. Let's watch.
The first ever EU Central Asia Summit, where the EU's Antonio Costa and Ursula von der Leyen were present, has concluded after 2 days of meetings in the Uzbek city of Samarkand with the leaders of Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan.
In today's international context, the importance of a functioning, rules-based multilateral order cannot be overstated.
First point. Did you listen? This is the entire Central Asia area. An area that if you don't know much about your geography, is located between Europe, Russia to the north, Southeast Asia to the south, and of course the Middle East and all of that, and China to the east. So this is an area that is the land bridge between Europe and China, or if you want to put it in their perspective, between China and Europe. Continue.
Meeting today encourage even more European Union Central Asia cooperation in multilateral fora, reinforcing our shared commitment to a peaceful and prosperous global order.
Regarding the new strategic partnership between Central Asia and Europe, Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said she believes this will lead to new opportunities, especially in the energy, tourism, trade and transport sectors.
Another important point. Europe was replacing a part of its oil and gas with imports from the USA. I foresee that that is coming to an end. Okay? This is another consequence that I highly doubt will stop being, so to say, in the future. Because you see, we are now making agreements and we are good on our words, not like some. Let's hear Ursula von der Leyen.
A strategic location can open global trade routes and investment flows, and these new investments will enhance sovereignty. They will strengthen your economies, and most importantly, they will make new friendships.
At the Samarkand summit, the EU sent out a key message that they want to be a big economical player in the region of Central Asia, and they are willing to put big money on the table in order to do this.
Do you understand this part too? They are willing to put big money, meaning Europe is going to invest all the money it was investing in Russia, for example. It's now going to transfer those funds to Central Asia, making agreements directly to those countries. And in the future, if Russia tries to be an intermediate, a gateway, that's called to Central Asia again for Europe, it will no longer be that gateway. And this is something that does not happen since ever. Even during medieval times, Russia was the gateway to the East for Europe, just like the Middle East. And in the Middle East, we know the issues we are having now with another American satellite causing troubles. So, like I said, I think I talked about this in another video, the question of the Silk Road. Hmm? This is the practical result. 40 days from China to Europe. Think about it. Crossing all of these countries and bypassing Russia via rail.
The 12 billion euros investment plan is focusing on climate action, water management, infrastructure, and mining. These are areas where European companies are traditionally very good, and they are now hoping for new contracts. In terms of geopolitics, the EU also had a clear message at the times when Brussels is facing trade war from the west and land war from the east.
Did you hear that? Let me just focus the camera on me. Did you listen to that? Trade war on the west and a war in the east. This type of speech already demonstrates the position of Europe towards the USA. Opponent, not friend. And if I was an American politician, I would be extremely worried about this. Extremely. Let's conclude our vision of the video. Let's go.
They got a new partner in a strategic location, Central Asia. Sándor Zsíros reported for Euronews from Samarkand, Uzbekistan.
The first ever EU Central Asia Summit.
All right. Let me put the camera back on me. So, as you can see, I decided to make this video, and I decided to use this video of Euronews, and I do not have any copyright on this. I am just doing it and showing it, encouraging you to go to this channel and view it. This is just for information purposes only. I am not, even if I could monetize this video, I would not monetize this video because it would be unfair. Because you should not monetize videos using other people's content, even at like they call it free information or something like that. No, I think it's wrong. Even in the future, if I have a monetized channel, even if this channel any day is monetized, I would never charge money for this. I would, for example, view the video, provide the link, and say, look, in this video they said this and this and this. And I would be creating the content. I would be giving my opinion or giving my analysis on something. Okay? But to make a video like this, and I will try to make some better ones and with a little more time, I would never charge a dime for them. Okay, and again, I advise you if you want to go to see the sorry, if you want to go to the site, it's very simple, really. You just type in your YouTube search bar, just type Euro News or Euro News all together, and you will find it in Portuguese, in English, in German, in French, whatever. It it has a lot of different languages. Sometimes some of the videos are more focused on a certain country. In Euronews Portugal, for example, you will find a lot of news about Portugal. In Euronews is news about Germany and such. And usually Euronews English is a little more widespread. You know, it covers everything. Me personally, I subscribe to Euronews Portugal, Euronews in English, and Euronews in French. Okay, for Germany, I prefer to just open the local networks and news channels, and just see it by myself. It's easier for me. Easier, and I usually, when I look into Germany, I look into social matters, I look into economical matters and political matters that are already uh, very well covered by the Portuguese news, for example, or by this one, Euronews. And in France, I also like to go to France 24. It's also available in English. And even if I sometimes do not agree with some of the analysis they make, they are usually truthful. They are usually factual. They fact check things. They don't come out and start talking some bollocks just to get the news. Because you see, news in Europe is completely different from the USA. In the USA, I think you like the show or something like that. And in Europe, we have some channels like that. But they cannot spread misinformation or lies. That is a crime, and it's a highly punishable crime. They can lose their licenses. They can lose everything. They can be fined extremely harshly. And here in Portugal, there is even an order. We call it order, but it's kind of a journalistic guild where the journalists themselves can punish other journalists that are not acting correctly, and they can suspend their licenses. They can do a ton of things. This works for everything here in Portugal, for the medics, the doctors, journalists, I don't know, engineers, everyone, teachers, everyone is subject has this professional order card that enables that person to work correctly. If you don't have that card, in some occasions you can do it, but for example, if you're a lawyer, you can provide legal advisement and other types of things sometimes companies need. But to be a lawyer and to be allowed to practice advocacy, I don't know how you said, to be able to practice law in the ground, in courthouse, wherever, you must be a part of your guild. Let's call it like this. We call it order. Okay, that is the only document that you have to pass you have to pass the bar. Let's call it like this, and that is the only way you can be a lawyer. This is just an example, just to explain to you a bit where these misinformation laws come and all of that, because you have similar systems all over Europe, in Spain, in France, in Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, wherever. This does not mean, for example, that look at me, a private citizen, I can make a news channel on YouTube, talk about my town or whatever. But there are restrictions to what I can do. I cannot have, for example, a professional card. This is an example, okay? Now, I hope you liked this video. I hope that you are seeing that Europe is not standing by while the USA is going around in the tariff fronts, and that we are actively searching and finding and being able of ditching the American economy. And I think the USA will have an extremely bad surprise later this year. I think the media hunt against American companies in Europe is going to start. I sincerely think that. I hope I'm wrong, because I don't want to see people losing their jobs. These American companies provide jobs here in Europe, okay? And they provide them, and they are forced to obey our laws. So if they are not biased, if they follow our laws, but there should be no reason for banning them. This is my personal opinion. Now, things like, for example, X, they have to be banned. The X is the devil's plaything of Mr. Musk. And Mr. Musk, I think he should just dedicate himself to his sinking car company, to his enterprises, and leave politics alone. I don't know the man. I don't think he is genuinely evil like some people think. I think he's just a little stupid. Sorry, but he is just a little stupid, and he has some issues I cannot understand. You know, because free speech is not absolute free speech, my friend. Okay, and to support extremist movements, it's not a way to change a society. Mr. Musk could use his billions, for example, to provide jobs if he's so keen on keeping Europe white or whatever he thinks he's doing. He could come here, you know, build a business, provide jobs, and select whoever he wants to work. For example, he could say only Portuguese nationals can work in my plant. And if he justified it correctly, there would be no problems in terms of racial profiling or whatever. There are ways of doing things. If he says, my purpose is to give native, let's call it native, Portuguese families an opportunity to have a job, to have children, to have social care, to have this or that or whatever, and make my profit too. You know? He could also help combat global warming. He could do so many things with his money and with his time that I frankly, you know what I think. What it's kind of a waste. You know, he's wasting his time. He's wasting other people's time. He's not doing a good job. And now I have this feeling he will be the fall guy when these all of these policies come crashing down, because someone will have to take the blame, and I don't see the president taking the blame. He will take it. I see it online, the reactions to his Doge and all of that, but I wonder if people understand that he is not the president. He is not the forces that are behind the presidency. And don't try to convince me otherwise. Because what did you see after Mr. Trump was elected? Everyone, from Jeff Bezos to Zuckerberg to Musk, they all came and kissed the ring. In that moment, you can see the relation of power. Who is the boss? And I don't know, like I said in a previous video, I don't know if it's the president, if it's the forces behind them. I have absolutely no idea. And frankly, I will abstain from speaking about my personal opinions about that, because I don't want to take a chance of offending someone that doesn't deserve to be offended, or to alert someone that does not deserve to be alerted that we know who they are. Okay? Now, I hope this video was at least nice to see, and I'll see you next time. Okay?